Hey there, good morning. It's 8:48 a.m. It is January 30th. It is Tuesday morning, and you know what? I was going to say I was back with another video, a comeback video from today's video, earlier video, but you know what? I wasn't able to post the video that I made early this morning because my I wasn't recording the entire time. I thought I had it on record, and guess what? I didn't. So whatever. Just kind of summarizing what I posted in the video is that, I am like, right now I'm trying to get bills and stuff organized, and, I get in these situations where it's like, I mentioned I'm dealing with stagnation right now. So, I get like, I get anxiety looking at emails. So I only look, like, for example, somebody said, "Oh, I sent you an email. Will you check it?" Then I'll check it. But I'm not somebody who's going to, like, just sit here and, like, open up my inbox and start reading stuff, because, I dealt with a lot of, like, targeting, job baiting and stuff like that. So, it got really disturbing for me. So it just created, a lot of anxiety inside of me. So it's something I really don't like dealing with. But I did get, like, some messages in my inbox, and I was basically stating a few months ago that I really don't want to return to 9 to 5 jobs for obvious reasons, right? It's just something that this causes me a lot of anxiety. The whole process. I mean, everything from, like, the baiting, the fake job interviews. If you get the job, then you're in there with a bunch of perps and stuff like that, and it's like, oh my god, I think about how much work goes into people who need to find work. They're looking for work. They're modifying their resume. They're tailoring all of their resumes to fit the job description. They're doing all this stuff, and they get to a job interview, and it might go well. You get the job, and you absolutely fucking hate it. It's like, God, yeah, I just think, there's just so much drudgery when it comes to having to keep a roof over your head, and and then on top of it, you're dealing with, the bad environment in the workplace and so on and so forth. So I'm sure not every single last person has to deal with a crappy work environment, but my heart goes out to the people who do, because it is very hard. So that's why I tell people, make sure you make time for yourself. Make sure that you take care of your needs, because, the workplace to me does seem very, like, it's kind of, it is. To me, it's just got slavery written all over it. It just really does. Not just for people of color, just everyone in general. It's very unhappy. It's an unhappy place a lot of times for a lot of people. But, just to summarize that, just from what I made this morning, I'm just dealing with, trying to get back on my feet the best way I possibly can. I did get some, like, intuitive messages. People were, apparently, when it comes to Prince Elame, who, he may have been a homosexual in his past life, meaning, like, while he was Prince Alamehu, or maybe in some of his other lives, and I think people have pointed this out, and that was a part of my targeting, or a part of the history that goes into, their justification for bullying me, coming back as a woman. It is what it is. Okay. I don't think that. Well, here's my stance on homosexuality. Okay, growing up, I grew up in Lancaster, California, and apparently, that I get those intuitive messages. I've had intuitive messages that, my father, who raised me, James Calvin Gordon, um, through his past lives, in his past lives, and he spent most of his time, with me in some way, shape, or form. Okay. um, Perhaps, maybe, we were both together as a couple, as homosexual or whatever, at one point in our lives. Maybe because, like I said, the only reason why I would feel, in my mind, in my heart, in the present life, is that the only way I would do something like that is because I felt a magnetic draw towards somebody that was in my past life that was so outstanding that I just needed to be with that person. Okay, and this is not necessarily relating to the act of sex in itself. It's more like, this is somebody I click with. This is somebody that I belong with. Okay, and so I think there's a lot of focus on that, or people have brought that up. Like going back to me growing up in Lancaster, with my family, my father, I remember there were times where, my father gave me or sent the message that he was not comfortable with the homosexual thing. And, I had noticed a lot in people growing up that they would bash homosexuals, and then come to find out years later, like after you leave high school, you find out that they are gay. Okay, some people do this because, and I've noticed people who tend to bash homosexuals tend to be gay themselves. Okay, and I think a lot of times people do this because they are in denial of who they are, or they're trying to hide something, or whatever. You know what I mean? They want to pretend that they're something that they're not. But I always got the message that my father um, liked women. Okay, because he seemed like he did. But I do know that my father did have skills to decorate. Like, he was very decorative. Like, when the holiday season came, he could just whip shit out, like just create like beautiful displays out of nothing. Like, we would go to Hallmark, right? Hallmark, that beautiful gift store, and they had the cutest stuff, right? And he would buy like cute little, images of snowmen. Happy the Snowman. I don't know if people remember this Hallmark item, but Happy the Snowman was just like beyond cute. He had like one of those faces that you see now on a lot of those like kawaii type uh, characters or whatever. He's very cute, and he had a little wife. Her name was Mary, right? So it was like Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, whatever. And they were just like the cutest little couple. And my dad would like buy all kinds of stuff, salt shakers, whatever. He would get all giddy about it. And then, he would take like, those little, uh, they're disposable, okay? They're like disposable tablecloths, right? But we didn't use those tablecloths with the Happy and Merry image on it. He cut the borders off, and then he used it for a temporary decoration. He put it on like the borders of the wall, and it was just like so cute. And when my mom got out of the hospital, that was like her little gift, right? And then I know that my father was the one who got me interested in sewing. Okay, but believe me, my father was masculine because he loved hunting, he loved fishing, he loved sports. So he possessed these qualities that were just like, okay. And you know what else he did? My dad was ambidextrous, okay? He could write with both hands. And he wrote beautifully with both hands. Like, I remember one time, like, we had those parent permission slips, and like, you had to have the parent signature, and then like, turn it in if you wanted to go to a field trip, or you wanted to participate in the book sale or whatever. Okay, so like my dad signed the paper, and then this woman just could not believe, like my teacher could not believe that a man's handwriting could be so goddamn beautiful, right? So my dad was very gifted, and he possessed both qualities very well. It was like this balance in him. And he just, to me, I didn't realize that those gifts that he had, those feminine type gifts, okay, in any way were at the time based on something like negative or anything. But anyway, I appreciate who my father was, and I guess people wanted to bring that up in this issue. So I always thought that when my dad would make fun of certain people, about being gay, I remember he would like move his hand a little bit and said that they were kind of funny or whatever. And I think some people might be homosexual. I don't think that my dad really, to me, carried out any sort of homosexual behavior other than what some people would say, okay, well, he's decorative. Okay, he writes well. He does, these things that are like, typically related to a woman. But he seemed like he liked women. Okay, he seemed like he liked women. And uh, that's how I remember him, you know what I mean? So I think maybe if he was in a relationship or he was gay, it may have been because it was like some sort of deep soul connection, whether that be with me or some other person that he was with somewhere in his past life. And that goes for me too. I mean, because I'm not somebody who, really am like turned on by homosexual activity. I'm not. But I do remember, thinking, wondering, because I pondered, like, what is like the perfect relationship. I also understood that, I consider myself, I'm a woman, okay? I'm a woman. I love girly stuff. I love girly stuff, right? And there is this little mismatch with a lot of, couples because women are extremely emotional. They relate to, and I'm not trying to stereotype because there's rational women too, okay? But we are more, intuitive. We're more emotional. We have different needs. And a lot of men lack the ability to provide that, right? So I kept thinking, okay, well then, if this is the sort that you really need in order to be balanced, perhaps maybe homosexuality is the answer to that. Now, this is when I was like, I would say late 80s, early 90s type thing, where I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying to understand, you know, is this ideal type couple thing really, does it exist? You know what I mean? So I kept thinking, okay, well, maybe I don't know. You know what I mean? I know when I was a teenager, the issue of homosexuality would come up. And, because I was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff like that when I was younger, I always thought, obviously, those things were kind of looked down on, mainly not because it was really, the offense of homosexuality in the Bible is mainly because it's not life producing. It doesn't produce life. It's not. And when it comes to religion, like the Christian faith, I know it was something that was looked down upon because it does not produce life, and that was they look at that as the purpose um, of why we're here is for continuing creation, and because there can't be creation within those sort of um, uh, partnerships, okay, then that therefore it was bad. Also, there were some people within the Christian denominations who felt as though um, sex, any form of sex other than the purpose of creation, was wrong. Okay, so sex was not something that we were supposed to enjoy. It wasn't something that we were supposed to enjoy. It was almost like sometimes some Christian denominations had things like, well, like limits. Like, you can have, of course, you can have sex, but you can only do so in the missionary position. I mean, people had, very strange um, things, like, people get explorative when it comes to that sort of stuff, okay? And, things like anything that people usually do in the activity of sex, right, that you can think of, okay, would be considered a no no, okay, because it brings pleasure. And that was something that was looked down upon. So anything that was pleasurable, people didn't like, and they looked down on that. So that's why people were resentful towards homosexuals, and I myself do understand that some people do have soul connections. You know what I mean? Um, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to address it because this does come up into my mind about this whole thing. Um, I will always believe that whatever people are or whatever form they come in, this is a part of their journey, whether they're right or wrong. It's a part of who they are and what they're supposed to be going through. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I mean? it obviously happens. People get drawn to each other. You know what I mean? They for whatever reason. So it's really beyond me to try to explain like why or how that happens or whatever, because I personally think that a lot of things that we do in our life, our current life, relates to something that we did in our past life. So these couples that are very intense and they stay around for like a long time, like long term type couples, I get the feeling that it's because there is some sort of soul connection that, really. But anyway, that thought was going through my mind. Other than that, I mean, I'm just kind of hanging in there and trying to figure out, what is it that I'm doing, because I get very frustrated, because, when you've been baited before, when you've been like, the setups and stuff like that, it does get very, very draining. It gets draining and it gets terrifying. The more I think about, the Joseph Mengele thing, that just, it twists my brain up. It really, really does. It bothers me a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope I will be back with another video sometime later. I'm trying to keep myself busy. I'm doing the best I can. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating. I did mention in my other video that, um, I'm dealing with issues relating to money. And I need to make money. Okay. It's like, I'm not somebody, I've never felt as though I wanted to ever rely on anyone other than myself. And I only feel comfortable taking care of myself. And I feel as though that must have been the case in all my past lives. I've always felt like I need to take care of myself. I was scrolling, I don't know if it was Facebook or if it was Instagram or whatever. But because I start to lose track, like what's what. I just know I saw something on one of those like those social media sites, but it was this meme. It really wasn't a meme. It was more like a statement somebody put out. It was like listing all the things that identify a person who's been through trauma, right? And so one of them, of course, actually they listed a bunch of shit that I can be like, okay, yep, that's me, that's me. But they were talking about, people who've always been like, abused or whatever, tend to feel as though they don't like to receive help from other people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so like that. You know what I mean? I feel like, no, I don't trust anybody. I don't feel comfortable with anyone. I just always feel like I need to take care of my own shit. And that's how I've always been. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video and I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.